newspapers with the credit card receipts of prominent people on the cover and within the story. So this is very important, folks. This really, we have to get beyond this church of football and this worship of Joe Pa and Paterno. And believe me, being in upstate New York, I'm only about 70 miles from Scranton, and I've lived in Philadelphia, and this guy is like a god even up here. I mean, people can't believe it. But the bottom line is, if you witness somebody raping a young boy in a shower, how is it that you are elevated to assistant coach? And how is the coach able to maintain his job for well over a decade? Well, you and I know the answer. Everything is compartmentalized. People go along to get along. And the fact of the matter is, this is going to sprawl out into some very prominent people.
Well, look, he wouldn't be reportedly, although these witnesses, raping people right there in the middle of the field house, which is a very public place for anybody that's played football. If folks don't know, it's coming and going all hours of the day. I mean, this just shows this was mainline. This is somebody obsessed with children. Have you seen the videos of him with high school students when he's, where he's grabbing on them? And I mean, it looks like something out of, I mean, it's incredible. But Jason,
they set these foundations up, Alex, to prey on these young boys. I know you point this out again and again, but we have to be so aware of these supposed charitable organizations.
Remember Boys Town. Let's stop right there, because let's go back. You cover this. I mean, I cover it some in our Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, but to try to go over all the examples, it would take hours. But in Invisible Empire, by the way, that's on DVD at INFOWARS.com if folks want it, or if not, it's free on YouTube. The point is, get it out to everybody. You look at the psychology of the globalists and the crimes they're known for committing, the government drug dealing, the white slavery, the child kidnapping. We really look at their psychology in that film. So go back over that and the Jeff Gannon and the gay porn stars and all the things that are happening, all the things that are going on, Jason, because this is something that keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And even Richard Nixon talked about it. I mean, it's so frightening. So, please continue.
Absolutely, Alex. And it's such an important thing. We have to be aware of this. How can we let a predator class that preys on children make executive decisions that affect all of us and have really been raping us and this country for some time now? But let's go over it. This pedophile ring, which I discussed earlier, was headed by a guy named Larry King, not the Larry King from television, but this guy had literally sung the national anthem. I believe it was at the 1988 Republican convention. He was an up-and-comer in the game. And the reason he was an up-and-comer in the game is he was the main player and pimp for young boys and girls, where he would even bring them in for midnight tours of the White House. A lot of this is chronicled in both the Franklin cover-up and the Franklin scandal. If you want a 60-minute synopsis of this unbelievable tragedy that occurred in our country and is probably still occurring today, especially with cases like this, Alex. And you can check it out. It's called Conspiracy of Silence. It'll blow you away. This was actually made by the Discovery Channel, funded with $500,000. And Congress had an emergency session where they funded them not to air this. And the only reason we have this rough copy where scenes are missing and the role isn't really finished is because it was used in court cases. It's really just an unbelievable story. And what's even more unbelievable is it crept its way into Barney Frank, a current congressman in Massachusetts, still to this day, Alex, into his bedroom through a gentleman named Stephen Goby, who was his boyfriend slash prostitute slash pimp of other young gentlemen right there, and at the local Chevy Chase Elementary School, where the superintendent was aware of what was going on.
And just to be clear from memory, it's covered in the film, but I have the Washington Post, Washington Times. Some of the prostitutes were underage, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at the testimony of people like Troy Bonner, Paul Bonacci, these are 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah, but by the way, well, even younger, but I mean, going back, I was talking about Barney Frank specifically. We have the news clip on the news where they said, Frank got up and said, you investigate me, I'm going to release all the names, and it was shut down. And the way Nixon and others described it, you've got to at least just go to the parties where this is going on, not even be part of it, so they know you're compromised. I mean, it's like I guess some kind of gangs, I've heard of Mexican mafia, you got to kill an old lady or something to prove you're really evil. Or other groups, you got to kill a kid or whatever. And I guess with this New World Order, it's like a bunch of Nelly ninnies where you got to rape children to be part of their evil club. And of course, you mentioned Larry King. He was convicted. I mean, this is just so amazing.
Streets today, Alex, he walks the streets today. How is it in this country in 2011 we let child rapists serve short terms and then go back and do it again?
Wait a minute, it's worse than that. Remember 5 years ago there was thousands, was it 5,000 missing kids in Florida that CPS had taken? Mm-hmm. And it turned out the top 3 CPS people in the state were all convicted child rapists. This is not an accident. This is an army of evil.
Absolutely, and it pains me to say again, these are the people a lot of people look up to, they think are moral, they want to be like. These are the worst of the worst in the predator class that would go after a child sexually and ritualistically in anything you believe. I can't believe another human being would want to bring harm on anybody unprovoked, let alone a young child. How could you live with yourself? You'd have to be soulless, Alex.
All right, let's shift gears. Catholic Church, every major country they're in, this is coming out, and cover-ups. Boy Scouts, 5,000 rapers covered up. I mean, it's every institution. They want to get into institutions because then they know the institutions will cover it up so their names don't get hurt. But in the end, that allows the scum to take over. Government, the military. We now learn about West Point and other things where there's sexual rituals at the higher levels. I mean, it really turns out, just like in ancient Rome, pervert guilds are in control. Where do you see this going with the whole situation at Pedophile Valley there? I mean, because, the head coach, the president, all of those board of governors, they all now, it's coming out new for now 18 years, some of them, this was going on. And people are saying, well, bring back, the coach. Those kids rioted, the college students calling for their God. So what if some kids got raped, by a degenerate, ugly old man? You know what? We need our football. I mean, it's just incredible.
It's absolutely despicable. And let's talk about another institution real quick, because you mentioned the military, you mentioned the Catholic Church, you've mentioned the Boy Scouts. And again, not all Boy Scouts, not all Catholics, they're not all bad people. But predators use these modes, these organizations, again, to prey on these young boys. Well, I watched a clip today from, I believe it was 60 Minutes, a mainline CBS News program, and they were talking to Corey Feldman, famed childhood actor. And they said, what's the biggest problem in Hollywood today to him? And he goes, honestly, he's like, the pedophilia. He's like, it's not talked about. It's widespread. It was done to me. It was done to Corey Haim. And, he raps off all these people. And he's like, the guy that did it to me, I guarantee he's going to watch this interview and he's going to sit there and smile and know he's going to get away with it, because these guys have gotten away with it for so long. And these are the heads of our entertainment industry as well, literally feeding us the propaganda that we consume every day, Alex.
And pedophiles may be 0.5% of the population, and they're trying to now sexualize children, just like they're selling us on torture, TSA, groping children. They're trying to change our political and social atmosphere into their cesspool. And they're sexualizing the children as young as 5, 6, 7, trying to sell outfits to little girls that look like a prostitute's outfit. I mean, it is scientifically done to destroy our society, and it's such a tiny group. But they're the group willing to carpet bomb villages of children, to use DU worldwide. They're the groups willing to genetically engineer the crops to sterilize the population. And, the way investigative journalist, former federal criminal investigator Greg Pallas put it, and he's right, this is just a byproduct of pedophilia. These people are so wicked in the ruling class across the political spectrum worldwide for wars, stealing pension funds, evil, that they're it's a bunch of evil people competing with each other to take over. So, of course, the most evil are going to be in positions of power. And Pallas said the pedophilia thing is just a side deal, that they're all there. I mean, quite frankly, from my research, as bad as it is, they're just raping some children. As you pointed out, they're butchering them. The snuff films that have come out of Europe that have been in the foreign press where they rape little toddlers and then blow their heads off. I mean, folks, this isn't the New World Order. And you know what? If they can't get your kids, they'll give them a Gardasil shot to hammer their brain. You understand, folks? They're not playing games. These are literal demons directly out of a Hellraiser vortex. Okay, and they're walking around in suits and ties. They've almost converted the police over to being their operatives. They're taking over every institution. Boy Scouts, good organization, being taken over. And they must be met, they must be faced. Jason, people can learn more by watching Invisible Empire. We've also had your Twitter up there for folks. Thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you as this continues to unfold. 60-second final comments on any other facets we haven't covered.
Well, I just want people to be encouraged to pursue this story. It's not about Joe Paterno. It's not about football. It's about a cowboy ring that a predator set up through a charitable organization and the cronyism that's probably going to get this guy off in the long run. Remember, the judge that put him on bond worked for and with the foundation. We cannot allow justice not to be served in this case, folks.
All right, Jason Bermas, great job. Good talking to you. Continue your work.
Thank you.
All right, there goes Jason Bermas. We're going to go to break and come back with our next guest and some incredible financial news and basically our expert guest prognosis on where the world economy is going. He's predicted so much of what has now been unfolding. We'll be right back. It's InfoWars Nightly News. Don't forget, we've got a 15-day free trial right now at PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. And we also... on top of that, are running a deal we've never offered because my main mission is get the word out and then be able to fund our operation. All 18 of my films that are on DVD, 18 films, 18 for $99.95. It's normally $359 and change. So that's a $250+ discount. And the profit we do make goes into the news websites, the nightly news, the syndicated radio show, and the tens of millions of people we reach every week. We're doing it. We're fearless. We're in the globalist faces because you can't roll over and give in to these scum. They've got to be met. They've got to be faced down. They've got to be resisted because they're not going to give us quarter. They come to kill, steal, and destroy. So there's the Alex Jones Everything Special at Infowars.com, or during regular business hours, you can call and talk to our great customer service folks and order 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139, and the mailing address is also at Infowars.com. You know, Ron Paul only got 89 seconds in the CBS Foreign Affairs debate because they're scared of him. So we thought we'd show you those 89 seconds right now.
Yes, torture is illegal, and by our laws, it's illegal by international laws.
How do you define torture, sir?
Well, waterboarding is torture, and many other things. It's illegal under international law and under our law. It's also immoral, and it's also very impractical. There's no evidence that you really get reliable evidence. Why would you accept the position of torturing 100 people because you know one person might have information? And that's what you do when you accept the principle of torture. I think it's uncivilized, and have no practical advantages, and is really un-American to accept on principle that we will torture people that we capture.
And
Major, I have to weigh in on. I have to say something.
Let's Congressman Paul, covert operations in Syria. A green light for you?
I think it would be a mistake. I think the Syrians ought to deal with their country. I think.
But what about the 3,500 dead?
Well, there's been a lot of people killed throughout the world in the last century. You know, the Soviets and the Chinese killed hundreds of millions, but we didn't feel compelled morally to try